Okay, how are you today? And in this video, it's open house season, so I'm gonna go jump into a question that I get at almost every open house, and I think it's a question that nobody should ever ask, and I'm gonna go through why people ask it and what they're trying to achieve and why it doesn't work, and sort of all the negative consequences that happen when you're in this open house. So I mean, it's always been pretty common. Real estate agents hold open houses. I mean, everyone should know that the agent there, whose name is on the sign and is out front, they represent the seller. They are not there to help you. They are trying to figure out how to get you to pay the most money for this house, right? So whatever that house is, doesn't matter what it's got or it doesn't have or whatever, their goal is to get the market to pay the most money. And that if that means that a buyer gets a bad deal, they're okay with that. Legally, that's what they're supposed to do. So, but it doesn't matter. Most buyers go to the open houses and feel that they can chat up listing agents like myself. I mean, it happens all the time. And I like having conversations, so it doesn't bother me. But when they start asking questions about the house, there is one question that I get asked all the time that you absolutely shouldn't. And the question is this: why is the seller selling this house? I mean, it sounds like a simple question, right? And I know that out there on the internet that there is a lot of advice where people say you should always try to ask the seller why they're selling. And I'm going to tell you that that conventional piece of wisdom is total garbage. It is garbage. So the reason people are asking why is the seller trying to sell this house is very simple. They're hoping that the seller absolutely needs to sell, that there's some sort of huge motivating reason like, oh, well, the seller died and the house is in probate and the kids don't want the house anymore. And somewhere along this chain of reasoning, oh, it's a divorce and, the house has to be sold by the order of a judge, or it's a bankruptcy, or the bank's coming and it's going to foreclose. Like these are the kinds of answers that people are hoping to get when they ask that question. So here's the problem. First of all, 99% of all sales don't fall into that category, right? Most of the time it's people switching houses or moving across the country they're all very non-interesting things, right? Most of the time. But the other problem that you really start to run into is the person that you're asking, whether it's most of the time it's the listing agent, they have no obligation to tell you the truth. I mean, let's say that they absolutely know that the seller is extremely motivated and they're going to take whatever offer comes in the door. They don't have to tell you that, and they shouldn't tell you that. They shouldn't tell you that. And the reason they shouldn't tell you that is because their job is to get the most money out of you, not the least amount of money from you. So telling you that the seller is desperate is the wrong strategy. And I'm not saying that there isn't a listing agent out there that hasn't told a potential buyer that they should bring their lowball offer because the seller will take it anyway. I'm sure that that has happened, but it is unusual. Okay, the reason why most houses don't sell is because, especially over a long period of time, is because they're at the wrong price relative to wherever the market is at. Most of the time, sellers that need to sell the most are hoping to extract as much money out of that asset as possible. It's very common for those houses to be more overpriced than a lot of other houses. People that are doing financially well, they're just trying to switch houses. A lot of times they're trying to get the most that they can for the house, but again, they're not trying to get every last nickel most of the time because the goal of moving on is more important. So it can be very counterintuitive. Sometimes the most desperate people are the ones who are most unlikely to come down. So the question itself, again, it's you're not likely going to get a true answer. Even if you get a true answer, it's not likely to help you. So there really isn't a lot of point in asking the question. The answer to the question is almost always this particular seller wants money more than they want the house. I mean, in my area, most people are in houses for 10, 15, 20 years. I mean, that's not uncommon, sometimes much, much longer. And I mean, the reason that they're selling is they're done with this house. Doesn't mean they were unhappy with the house, right? I mean, that's the other reason people ask this question. Are they selling because they don't like the house? Well, I mean, they've been there for 15 years. They must have liked something about it, right? So I mean, unless the house is turned over in a year or less, I mean, then it's sort of a relevant question, right? Like if they've only been there for 18 months, right? Maybe then that's why are they selling? You know, what happened? They were only here 18 months. That sort of makes sense, but I will tell you, even in houses that have been owned, in the same person's family for 100 years, okay, multiple generations of ownership, people still come up to me and they say, why are they selling? And I mean, sometimes it's just time. So, I mean, like I said, the answer to this question is almost always because the seller wants money more than they want this house. And that's really why people sell, right? I mean, there's a whole bunch of sub reasons underneath that, but at the end of the day, that's the big one. So, just a follow-on thing, the number one reason you definitely don't want to ask me that question is because it means that I've already tagged you as someone who probably does not have a lot of experience in real estate. So, if you do make an offer, I'm going to remember that you're not as knowledgeable as you should be. So it's not a very good question, and it's very rarely, very, very rarely, like 0.00001% of the time, ever going to be whatever that answer is, be any actual use to you. So if you do go into an open house, ask other questions. That's it. Bye.